like to introduce you to our founder and our CEO, Blake Resnick.
Thank you so much for being here. It really matters a lot to me because I've been looking forward to this announcement for the last 7 years. My name is Blake. I started BRINC kind of just for a really quick personal introduction. I started my engineering career over at McLaren Automotive. I was 14 when I started there, so I think their youngest ever engineering intern. Then went over to Tesla, briefly met Elon, so sort of life goal fulfilled. Although I'm maybe slightly less excited about that now. And then most recently over at DJI. So by far, world's largest drone company. I worked right under their VP of R&D. So got some good insights into what they think the future of the drone industry is like. Also done some cool personal projects. I built an inertial electrostatic confinement nuclear fusion reactor in my garage, which is that thing, kind of what looks like one of Gandalf's spells. My neighbors did not think that was funny at all, but I had a good time with it. Made neutron radiation and X-rays and all sorts of fun stuff. But I grew up in Las Vegas. My best friend was on the Strip during the October 1 shooting, and that is what got me thinking about public safety technology. So I kind of was processing this for a while. Eventually, I felt driven to reach out to the police department, so I looked up their phone number and cold called them. Surprisingly, they were willing to meet with 18-year-old me, and I learned two big things during that meeting that I didn't expect. The first was that the shooter had a baby monitor camera outside of his door in the Mandalay Bay, and he had a separate weapons cache at that same location. And if you know anything about the Mandalay Bay, there's a really long hallway between the elevator banks and the suites, about 100 yards long. So his plan was he would see first responders coming, he would take out one of his weapons, fire down the hallway. It would have been a really bad situation for the first responders that would have tried to stop the shooting and save more people's lives. So that conversation, and then later others around barricades and high-risk warrant searches and hostage situations, it gave me the idea for a small drone that could fly around indoors, get eyes and ears in dangerous places, and make SWAT operations safer for everyone. That turned into the Lemur, then the Lemur S and the Lemur 2. And all of these drones I'm incredibly proud of. I think they really help, you folks, first responders, deal with incredibly risky situations and get eyes ahead without having to risk anyone's life. But there was a second problem that we talked about during that lunch. And it was that it took first responders 1 hour and 5 minutes to make entry into the room where the gunman was firing from. And one of the reasons why this happened was as plainclothes police and security all over the Strip heard about the shooting or heard, gunshots going off, they took out their weapons and they were misidentified as additional active shooters. So there was this flood of 911 calls saying there's an active shooter here, there's an active shooter there. First responders are thinking that this is a coordinated terror attack at 6 or 7 different sites. And they sent resources to all of those locations to try to stop the killing without actually understanding what was going on. So I thought if you could just get a drone out there quickly, 30, 40, 50 seconds after those 911 calls come in, you'd be able to clear them out, understand what was actually going on more rapidly, and save more people's lives. And to be honest, this is really the problem that I wanted to solve first, because I thought its ability to save human life was greater than that of the interior drone. But I was also really aware of my position in life at the time, which was working from here, which is my mom's house. I had no money and did have some experience with drone-in-a-box solutions. And I just wasn't sure that as a lone person, I would actually be able to bring that idea to fruition. But now things have changed a little bit. BRINC is the largest public safety drone company in the world. We're the second largest quadcopter manufacturer in the United States. We have the resources to take on harder problems, and we have. So without further ado, I would like to show you BRINC's next drone product and really what I have always wanted this company to build.
What is your emergency?
I think I'm being robbed. 3 guys at my store and they have a gun.
What is the address?
Jack's Mini Mart, 6316 North 83rd Street.
Responder 1 en route, arrival in 45 seconds.
Edward 9, 3 minutes out.
Edward 11, ETA in 6.
Caller states 2 white males standing outside, possibly armed, 1 white male inside the store.
Edward 9, copy.
And we have our generational perspectives. We have our armed robbery in progress. Pull up the drone feed. Yes, sir.
3 suspects are on foot. Alleyway adjacent to the food mart.
Wait, is that just a lighter? Unit standby. It appears to be a lighter.
Responder 1, affirmative. Object appears to be a lighter and not a weapon.
Edward 9, copy. Got it on the live feed. We'll make contact and advise.
It's not hard to imagine how this situation could have gone differently. BRINC is building a system to give first responders more information before they arrive at emergencies and lower response times. Specialized drones are pre-positioned in robotic charging stations at strategic locations throughout a community. The system is integrated with 911, computer-aided dispatch, and other software to deploy the aircraft autonomously in seconds. These drones can deliver life-saving payloads faster than ever. With an onboard two-way audio system, responders can even communicate remotely to provide instructions.
All right, we have help headed your way. We've dispatched a drone that's equipped with an AED. Did you just keep giving me updates on your status?
They can also gather intel or de-escalate a situation. Drones can be deployed in the field to get a fast bird's-eye view of any situation and generate 3D models for documentation or courtroom use. DFR allows first responders to see through smoke and identify hotspots or locate suspects and devise a response that minimizes risk for everyone. The drones also mesh with each other for extended range across entire communities. Agencies around the country have already adopted DFR programs. On average, they clear a quarter of all 911 calls with drones alone. They get eyes on scene in less than 70 seconds and have achieved 50% faster response times agency-wide. Enter the future of public safety today with BRINC DFR, because this is just the beginning.
So this is Responder. It is designed to launch from a citywide network of drone nests and respond to all emergencies in less than 90 seconds. And we could not be more proud of this thing. So some of you may know this, but DFR is actually an idea that has already been tried at scale. For the first time, not so far from we are now, in Chula Vista, California. So they have used drones to respond to almost 20,000 911 calls at this point. It's really quite a remarkable program. And while I got thinking about this in the context of active shooter response, they've discovered that DFR is useful for a really wide array of emergency response scenarios. In fact, the video that we just showed you was based off of a real mission that Chula Vista faced, and also Santa Monica, also kind of in this general area. So watch this live mission footage from a real DFR flight.
Santa Monica police got a call last year about a man with a gun. At first, drone footage appeared to confirm it, but then...
As I'm watching him, I can clearly see, and you'll see he exhaled, there's a little bit of smoke here in a second, that I'm 99% sure that that's some type of lighter.
Given that, police didn't need to approach aggressively.
You know, drones on average in Chula Vista are responding to 911 calls in 70 seconds. Which is just an unprecedented number for emergency response. DFR has incredible potential, in my view, to lower response times dramatically nationwide. But one thing I didn't expect at all is drones are also able to clear a quarter of 911 calls without ever sending an officer. So think about situations where you get a 911 call for an obstruction in a roadway. Drone gets there, obstruction is already cleared. Don't send an officer. Or other situations where there is a suspicious person call, drone gets there, person isn't there or isn't suspicious, don't send an officer. This is happening a quarter of the time someone calls 911 in Chula Vista, California right now. And in our general climate of massive public safety, officer shortages and issues recruiting new talent, I think this is just an amazing way for agencies to do more with less and really focus on the emergencies that matter. And you can see this in the data too. In Chula Vista, after implementing their DFR program, they've seen almost 50% faster human response times to emergencies. And that's not to mention the officer safety advantages of having a live drone video feed before you even arrive on scene. The ability for these systems to de-escalate dangerous situations and reduce uses of force or deliver life-saving medical payloads. We just think DFR is going to change the world. But every single DFR program in the United States, on the planet right now, have been using off-the-shelf consumer drones, or commercial drones at the very least. We think the future, though, of this category is purpose-built 911 response drones. And Responder is the first ever aircraft of that category. And it's allowed us to make a large number of decisions that make this the best drone ever for emergency response. Starting off, it looks like an emergency response vehicle. It's white and black, red and blue. It can be customized with agency logos. It has red and blue lights. It has a siren. No one is going to confuse this for just a normal consumer aircraft. It also has a 42-minute flight time. So for a drone of this size range, that is an industry-leading specification. It allows you to get out to the location of a call for service and then actually stay there for a while before you have to leave. We've worked really hard to get this flight time on Responder, and I'm happy with the results. We also have a great camera payload on this drone. So 40x optical zoom, full HD. And then on top of that, we have a high-resolution thermal imager, so full 640 thermal onboard Responder. That's all mounted on a 3-axis mechanical gimbal, and it really lets you zoom into license plates, see hotspots during structure fires, find people during search and rescue missions, all of the above. It's just a great camera, and the stuff that we have coming out a little bit later is even better than this. So yeah, I think you'll be very happy with Responder's camera payload. Next, it also has retained BRINC's pioneering two-way audio system. So we are the first drone company to ever put two-way audio on an aircraft. Responder still has that ability. So if you drop off something like an AED, you can actually explain to someone on the ground how to use it. This time, though, we've also added a siren function, which you just heard. So if you ever do want your presence to be known, you can absolutely make that happen. And then to activate these features, the drone has a cell phone number. You can literally just call it. It'll automatically accept that call. You can start talking through it, or you can initiate that two-way audio through LiveOps, our web app. One thing that's new, though, with Responder, and a little bit different from Lemur 2, is you can actually fly this drone over a browser window. So you don't have to do it from a handheld controller anymore. You can just log in to LiveOps, pilot the drone with the arrow keys, WASD. That's just how it works. And you can activate all of the other functions on the drone through LiveOps as well. So if you want to do a push-to-talk function, in order to talk to someone on the ground, LiveOps will enable that. Turn on the lights, use the dropper, all of it completely possible. And Responder has retained BRINC's mesh networking radio function. So responders will actually extend each other's range in a city, which I think still is just an incredibly awesome feature. But this works across our entire product portfolio, including Lemur 2. So if you're flying Lemur 2 indoors during a SWAT operation, then you have Responder overhead at 300 feet providing overwatch. Now you have an aerial repeater. So all Lemur 2 has to do is punch a signal through a roof. It's getting rebroadcasted from 300 feet, and your controller could be a half a mile away. Adopting BRINC technology, it all gets better the more you have of it. And then we can also do full citywide deployments. So if you want a separate repeater site to ensure that you have good connectivity in a specific part of your city, we can actually install dedicated radio infrastructure at that location to ensure that you can respond to 911 calls in that region. And yeah, it all just touches on this ecosystem point. Responder and Lemur 2, they use the exact same handheld controller. They use the same charger. They use the same accessories. They all extend the range of each other, controllers, responders, Lemur 2s. They all run on the same software. So you don't have to deal with a situation where you have half a dozen or more different charging systems and different batteries and different controllers that everyone has to learn. You can just pick one solution, train everyone on it, make sure they're confident, and then focus on what matters, which is the emergency response. We also have some really cool payloads for this. It's the same dropper attachment as Lemur 2. We've also developed a brand new, incredibly bright white spotlight that mounts onto the bottom of this drone. And we have a parachute for deployments in cities. So worst case scenario, it'll just float down. And this is another thing that I'm wildly excited about, especially in the context of big citywide deployments. Responder can deliver emergency medical payloads. So Narcan, AEDs, EpiPens, emergency flotation devices, all of the above. If you have these things outfitted with those payloads and in these big networks around a city, you can make an AED available to anyone in 90 seconds. We think that's going to save a lot of lives. And we're just, personally, I'm just incredibly excited about this use case. So Responder is capable of doing it. It's also a very intelligent and autonomous platform. There is a whole bunch of compute on board Responder, tons of networking. It's expandable in the future, but some of the features that we're shipping with from the very beginning, number one, we can basically avoid obstacles. So there's a front stereo pair on board the drone. So if you try to fly it into a wall, won't let you. We have GPS RTK on Responder, so you have really precise localization information coming off of this drone. That aids with landing in nests and also just like general position hold functions. On top of that, the drones can autonomously take off and land at nests, so you don't have to worry about landing within a couple of inches of like a nest door. All of the autonomy systems will do that for you automatically. And all of these systems work in all lighting conditions. That's another big problem with a whole bunch of drones. Maybe they're good during the day, not so good during the nighttime. That is not an issue that you will have with Responder. And of course, it can fold down and be deployed easily from vehicles. So, it's not a tiny drone, but it gets pretty compact when it's folded. And this actually fits into the same case as Lemur 2. So we're using the same Pelican case across both drones. But the other big hardware release that we're doing today is Station. This is basically designed to protect, recharge, and deploy responders. And these can be mounted on top of police station roofs, fire station roofs. We find fire stations are actually a really great place to mount these things because they're just in the right locations in cities already, or on top of partner businesses or wherever else. And like the drone, it's really been designed for first responders. One problem with other Nest products is it takes a long time for them to deploy drones, which is a big deal if you're responding to a 911 call. So with Station, we can actually launch drones in just about 5 seconds, one of the fastest deploying drone nests in the world. So you're never really going to be waiting for this. It is weather resistant, very robust. You can deploy this in extremely high temperatures, low temperatures, saltwater spray, rain, you name it, this thing will handle it. It actually has integrated HVAC too, so it'll keep the drone at the right temperature no matter what is going on. It's a huge HVAC unit too. Pretty much this entire area is an HVAC unit, so it exchanges all of the air in one of these nests in just a couple of seconds. Really good system there. Another thing I'm excited about with Station is it is compatible with Starlink and solar panels. So you can actually deploy this wherever you want. You don't need any infrastructure. So if there's a specific location in your jurisdiction where you want to deploy flotation devices frequently that might be a little bit away from infrastructure, you can still deploy this there. Or an area in your city where you have a lot of lost hikers, put a station out there. Every time you get one of those calls, you can deploy a drone, get eyes overhead in 60 seconds and provide all that extra intelligence. You can also mount these things on large vehicles. So if that is interesting to you, definitely reach out to us. We would love to talk more about that. And it takes a standard power input, a standard Ethernet, all the above. It's just like a 110 outlet. So pretty easy to deploy these things as infrastructure. And we've also upgraded LiveOps pretty considerably. So before LiveOps, again, our software platform, it was designed for drone video live streaming. It was designed for evidence storage, some telemetry stuff. Now it is your portal for DFR operations. And we think the software is just incredibly important for DFR in general. So we're really excited about this. First big software feature that we've added is teleoperations. So the ability to fly these things over that browser window, access everything you want, the full functions of the drone. Could not be easier to pilot this. So yeah, you can fly this from anywhere in the world. And that uses both 4G LTE and also our mesh networking radio system. So you can be hooked up to Wi-Fi, and then we can funnel all that data through however is necessary. This is another really cool feature, in my opinion. We're actually doing video overlays on top of all of the data that Responder is generating. So you can see street names like labeled on top of the drone video footage. That's Main Street, that's 4th Street. You can see calls for service locations. So if there's a gunshot detection, it'll populate as like a beam of light. You can kind of see that at the top of the screen. It makes it much easier to understand what's going on in your local environment, and also much easier to communicate with people on the ground about what's going on. So I am just so excited about this one. I'm really glad we were able to pull it off. But I'll tell you, I think the most powerful element of LiveOps is really its integrations. Its ability to pull in call for service data from computer-aided dispatch, or from a gunshot detection system, or from an ALPR system. So you don't have to manually enter any of those things. It's just automatically populating in LiveOps, and then gives you the option to deploy a drone to that emergency. Its ability to also be integrated with real-time crime center software is a really big deal. That's obviously, a huge trend in law enforcement technology right now, and an incredibly valuable tool, but it's limited by your camera network, right? If there's a part of your city where you just don't have cameras, RTCC isn't really that valuable. With DFR, these 911 response drones, you can put a camera anywhere you want in a city in like 45 seconds. It just fills all the coverage gaps that might come up, conventionally. So we're excited about that too. 911 call sharing. So as you're flying around, your teleoperator can actually listen to live 911 call audio. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. We have an open API, so this is all expandable. And then on the bottom, you can see some, air traffic information that we're ingesting, weather monitoring. We can push data after a drone lands at one of these nests to a DEMS platform. So if you use evidence.com, really easy to push data to a platform like that and make this into a real automated program. So there isn't like a crazy, data management lift to implementing DFR. So a lot of this information is populated in a citywide map. So you can see the locations of all of your nests, all of your drones, calls for service, basically drag and drop drones to respond to emergencies. It could not be easier to use DFR as a system. And this is a big way that we've been able to make it a little bit easier to adopt. So one of the issues with, DFR, 911 response drones in general in the past has been FAA regulations. And specifically the requirement that the FAA has for a visual observer on top of rooftops in order to start accomplishing beyond visual line of sight or BVLOS flights. It's added this complex staffing lift to start a DFR program. So now you need a teleoperator, but you also need someone on the rooftop looking for manned aircraft and then telling your teleoperator, hey, there's a helicopter over there, stay away from that part of the city. But there is a solution for this too. LiveOps can receive real-time ADS-B information and radar information to detect manned aircraft and then route our drones around them. And we've partnered with Echodyne, a leading ground-based radar manufacturer, in order to do this. So if there's ever an aircraft within your airspace, you'll see it populated in LiveOps, and drones will autonomously avoid that aircraft. We're applying for some of the first ever BVLOS waivers with the FAA right now that mitigate the need for a VO. So if this is interesting to you, or if this is a thing that has prevented you from adopting DFR in the past, please talk to us. We think this is an incredibly promising solution, and we would love to partner with you on it. And the last big integration that we're announcing today is with Live 911. So this gives you 911 call locations, and it also is what is enabling teleoperators to listen to 911 call audio. So we're just wildly excited about this. It is incredibly practically useful, and yeah, makes it easier to deploy drones to 911 calls. So how does all of this work together? Basically, to start off, a call for service location is received. That can come in through CAD, ALPR, gunshot detection. One of your officers requesting a drone response. From there, live 911 call audio is streamed to your teleoperator. LiveOps will actually find the nearest nest to the location of your 911 call. From there, it will give you the option to deploy a drone. If you say yes, the doors on a station open up, drone autonomously launches, and it starts flying to the location of that call for service. So as it's flying, it will automatically avoid manned air traffic, obstacles, no-fly zones, all the above. So you don't even have to touch this thing as a drone is flying to an emergency. Although if you want to, that is definitely also an option. And while it's flying to the emergency, the camera is pointed in a neutral position, so you're not collecting any data that might be unnecessary. Then when it arrives, control is handed back over to a teleoperator. They could fly the drone around, drop payloads, turn on the lights, sirens, any of the above. You really can control all of the features of Responder from that browser window. You can also stream video through LiveOps to every single officer in your department, so people can really benefit from the information that this is generating, and stream video to a real-time crime center. So it's kind of what happens after the drone arrives. Then when the emergency is complete, you can hand the drone back to this larger DFR network. From there, it will autonomously find the nearest station that is open and capable of receiving a drone, avoid obstacles, again, avoid no-fly zones, all of the above, find the nest, land in it autonomously, start recharging, dump all of your high-resolution video to LiveOps, and then to a separate DEMS platform like evidence.com and get ready for another emergency. So a lot of this stuff is automated. The system will handle many of these tasks itself. So we've been talking a lot about drones deploying out of Nest today, but it is also completely possible to start up a DFR program and deploy drones from vehicles. And in fact, I think this makes a ton of sense for agencies that have really large geographic areas that they have to manage. So the way that works is you have a drone in a case in the back of a patrol vehicle. If you ever want to deploy a drone, all that officer has to do is take the drone out, install a battery, and then from a teleoperation center, you can still fly this thing around. So the officer doesn't have to deal with the burden of actually flying the drone. They basically just have to power it on, and you still get all of the advantages of DFR, but you can cover a really large area with it. Or if you want, this is just a really good American-made drone. So if you want to use it as a Mavic or an M30T replacement, completely possible. Doesn't have to work just in the context of these larger DFR deployments. So with all of that being said, We think DFR is going to save a whole bunch of lives and be a massive public good, but we're also aware that this is a really powerful technology. And BRINC as an organization has made some commitments in order to ensure that this is a public good. Starting off, we've committed to not weaponize any of our devices. We exist to save lives, not take them. That's just what this company is about. We have customizable evidence retention. In general, we find a lot of agencies are using the same evidence retention protocols as they use with their body-worn video cameras. So you can customize that to your agency's preferences. These are all configurable options that are within LiveOps. Usage logs exist, access controls. As the drone is flying to and from emergencies, the cameras are pointed in neutral positions, and it's an identifiable drone. So there's never a question, is this a public safety drone or is this, just someone's aircraft that happens to be flying around? We've developed a little bit of software too around transparency portals. And some of the first DFR agencies in the country have adopted this. It's really proven to be a pretty good idea in my view for, for agencies and community acceptance. So the information that can be viewed here, number one, high-level program statistics. So the number of 911 calls that have been responded to, average response times, the types of calls for service that these drones are launching, to get eyes on, all of the above. If you want to display that, you absolutely can with some software that we've built. And then also specific data about flights. So if someone ever sees one of these drones, flying overhead, they can go online, look it up. Oh, that drone took off to respond to a structure fire at this address. It passed over my location for a few seconds. That information is 100% public. It's contributed a lot to the success of the first DFR programs in the country, and we are very, very happy to be building out these software features. So if you want to implement this, you absolutely can. And, we also take security very seriously. We're an American-made company. We're based in Seattle. All of our manufacturing is happening in our headquarters. We're also fully NDA compliant, which basically means we don't use any electronic sensors from China. Super hard because the entire global electronics industry, really, even more specifically, like the global drone industry is based out of one city, which is Shenzhen. Sorry. Yeah. But we've been able to go and build out, an American-made supply chain. So really, really happy about that. And then on the software side, fully CGIS compliant, full encryption is going on. We run on AWS. All of our servers are in the US, so you really are secured there too. And, you can adopt this technology in an a la carte fashion or through what we call BRINC Safeguard. Drone technology moves pretty quickly. This is Responder Now. Soon enough, there'll be Responder 2 and 3, just like what happened with Lemur. With Safeguard, every time we come out with a new piece of hardware, you automatically get upgraded to it. So you're never running obsolete drones. Then, if one of these systems ever crash, we will replace your drone fleet an unlimited number of times. That applies to Lemur 2, Responder, the future stuff we have coming, really all of the above. So you have full budgetary certainty on your program. It also includes LiveOps, our software, Nest installation, maintenance. When you're flying DFR all the time, batteries are only good to 400 or 500 charge cycles. We'll give you replacement batteries. Motors are only good to a certain number of flight hours. We'll automatically replace motors as that is necessary. So it's really everything you need to run a full program. And I think it's just a great way to partner with us. And the first deployments of this will be in Q4 of 2024. So this year, wider spread customer deployments probably in Q1, but this is, functioning drone. We're going to get it out in the world really soon. And kind of one of the last things I wanted to mention is this is the first ever purpose-built 911 response drone, but it won't be the last. It also won't be the last from BRINC. And I just wanted to give you a really quick sneak peek of what we have coming after this. To be honest, from a hardware perspective, I'm even more excited about this one. But we'll cut over right now and just for a second show you what we have coming out next. Isn't that cool? We have it downstairs, by the way, so you'll all be able to get a close look. And I don't want to say anything publicly right now, but this has some pretty incredible capabilities that have never been on a quadcopter before. So approach me privately, and I would love to tell you about it. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much. I mean, we're really looking for agencies to be true partners of BRINC. We want to develop the best ever emergency response drones. And this company was built on customer feedback. I mean, early on when I was developing Lemur, I went on call with Vegas Metro SWAT for like 6 months. And that's how we ended up with something that was actually usable for your use cases. Because, you know, we talked about the failures after they happened on the early missions. And then it became my life's mission to fix that problem before the next time we would go out and do a call out. And we're really looking for agencies to enter into a similar relationship with us right now. We want to hear your ideas for next generation software features, hardware ideas, all of the above, and, you know, be the premier American-made public safety drone company. That's what all of this is about. So definitely reach out to us if any of this is interesting to you. So with that, thank you. Thank you for being here. I really do feel like this is the culmination of, you know, the last 7 years of effort. More importantly, though, thank you for everything that you do to keep communities safe. It is just a sincere honor for me and everyone else at BRINC to build you technology. And we think DFR is going to be a pretty important technology and save a lot of people's lives and hopefully make the world a little bit better. So with that, thank you again.